sometimes we just come across people, they're not self-aware. They don't know that their leadership is having a crack in it. They don't know those things because no one's either ever called them out on it or no one's actually taken the time to teach them. Never choose a mentor who doesn't have a mentor. I'm sitting here today teaching you guys and sharing with you guys, but guess what? I still have a teacher that I go to. Yeah, we had our professors in college, but I'll be completely honest with you guys. I remember asking my business professor if he had ever had a company before. He said no. And I was 18 years old and I had a business, and that's when it hit me, that I was like, wow, I'm learning from someone who's just kind of even just basing off the book. They haven't even had the experience.
So today we've got someone who truly believes that the spirit of scaling and soul comes with a strategy. Joining us today is Mona Castro, the powerhouse behind 8-Figure Collective, a platform that helps founders, coaches, and creators break past ceilings and build brands that don't just make noise, but they make money. With a bold voice, fierce clarity, and unapologetic authenticity, Mona is rewriting the playbook for what it means to show up, sell out, and stay aligned. So let's rewind, Mona, and why don't you tell us about the backstory before you started business coaching?
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here with your incredible audience. And thank you for that beautiful introduction. It really got me all inspired all over again and really powered up. So I'm very happy to share, what got me initially to where I am now, how it all began. And so to kind of keep things, not going to every single deep aspect of it all, it started with me really as a young child. My mother she was sadly killed when I was 6 years old. And so I was, left in this predicament where we weren't sure where I was going to go. My family had to go through custody battles. They were trying to figure out if I was going to go to the state because my father wasn't in my life. And so by the time my grandparents were actually able to get custody of me, that's when I was able to get a little bit more stability. Even though they had, their hardships and things that they were going through being much older, it really began for me there as a child and learning how to be grateful with what I had around me and to use my current circumstance, to figure things out. Like I was a child, but I also had to help my grandparents. Here I was 6 years old, but I didn't have my parents. And so one thing that my mom really taught me, I only had 6 years with her, but I remember her so vividly. I used to go to work with her. I would go to school with her. I remember her asking her boss, could I go to work with her? And they'd say, okay, just sit her behind the desk. And, I'd be there with her. And so what she was teaching me in that moment was she used the resources that she had. She was really resourceful. She was a really hard worker, but she was always in school or work. So I always seen her, really working on furthering herself. And so something that she really loved doing was making clothes. She loved fashion. She was always having the coolest things on, for us to come from a place of poverty. She was really creative. And so she would make things, and I knew that was her overall passion, but she was also just trying to take care of me. I basically tapped into that. I decided to make things for myself. I was really creative. I would figure things out really young. And so it rolled over into high school. And I remember I had a good friend, her mother owned a donut shop. And I go, what do you guys do with all those donuts, at the end of the day? And her mom goes, oh, we just throw them away. And I was like, well, would you mind if I take those donuts to school and maybe I can sell them? And that's when entrepreneurship ideally began for me. And she goes, yeah, that's fine. And so I would sell those donuts so that I can buy things to make clothing and use that for another business. People liked the things that I wore and they'd say, hey, can you make me this? And so initially that spark was always there. And so as an adult, I decided, okay, I'm going to go to school for business. I'm going to go to school for education and learn more things about this because it was something that always fueled me. And so I went to college, I went to university, and I decided to double major. I went into pre-nursing and business administration, and I opened my first company when I was 18 years old. So ultimately, that loss really taught me how to be dedicated, how to work for the things that I wanted, and most importantly, to continue to get your education no matter what was going on around me. And so I was really able to help my family with that loss, also with my mother, but also bring new life and recreate from what we had lost.
That's really amazing. I'm sure many of our users are going to know that even after a lot of hard works, even if you have the goals that is set in front of you, if you have that will, if you have that soul to achieve it, you can. So that is something really, really commendable that you have done. And who knew, behind that beautiful smile is such a story that might, leave some of us out in tears today, right?
Yeah.
But still, I want to understand one thing, that the Eight Figure Collective, right? This is a name that holds value. Eight,
Yes.
right? This is a line that increases the energy inside me. So,
Right.
but I want to understand that how did you come up with this line and this company name, I would say.
I love that. I love what you mentioned too, when we go through so many hard things, and sometimes some people have the biggest smiles on their face and you wouldn't even know, right? And that's one of the things that I really carry with me in my heart, even within my businesses, is you can turn a lot of pain into purpose, right? And you can turn pain into healthy power. And of course, grieving never ends. I still grieve my mother, right? I still miss her. But I also get so many signs of her by staying within my power. I see the signs and she reminds me that she's always there. And so the Eight Figure Collective, that was something that was really birthed from my experience in going to many schools and investing into so many mentors. I always tell people, never choose a mentor who doesn't have a mentor. I'm sitting here today teaching you guys and sharing with you guys, but guess what? I still have a teacher that I go to, someone that's still at a higher level and capacity than me, because I know that I need to remain a student. You remain a student, you'll be a great leader, literally. So Eight Figure Collective really came from the standpoint of people who are like, how the heck did you build all this success? Because I just recently turned 30 years old, but I was building success, at 12 years old, having a little business at school, and then building success at 18 and opening a company in college and putting myself through college from that business, So for me, ultimately, people were like, how the heck did you figure out all these problems? And so I was like, I need to have a platform or create a way for people to learn. And a little bit later in my career, I did do the 9-to-5 thing. I'm not knocking 9-to-5s. I totally did it. I worked a 9-to-5. I was in management for years. I became a regional manager before I was even 25 years old. And that's something that's, really huge, because I was managing multiple stores. And I had to do the hiring, the firing, the training, doing accounting, working with money, and so many different things. And here I was so young. And ultimately, I just never stopped learning. That's number one. I was always listening to YouTube or finding other people that I could latch on to, and be able to learn from. And so Eight Figure Collective really was a breakthrough when I was not reaching six figures and I couldn't break past it. There was like a halt in my momentum. And so it kind of traced back to when I was 18, my first company that I built made a lot of money, but I also had a business partner. And the one thing that we were missing at 18, being young women, we were catty. We didn't have personal development, and we didn't have that many role models around us to teach us. Like, yeah, we had our professors in college, but I'll be completely honest with you guys. I remember asking my business professor if he had ever had a company before. He said no. And I was 18 years old and I had a business. And that's when it hit me, that I was like, wow, I'm learning from someone who's just kind of even just basing off the book. They haven't even had the experience. And so ultimately, what happened was I would get in these partnerships, or I'll go work at places, and people would fight in the workplace, and the environment was unhealthy. And then you would see sales, go lower, or people fighting for the main lead position, and now the rest of the team doesn't like the managers. And so I learned very quickly that personal development and mindset development and leadership development, these are three different things, along with spirituality. And when I say spirituality, I mean whatever you believe in. It could be God, universe, angels, whatever it is that you believe in. But those things were missing. And because those things were missing, people weren't able to break past things. And that also reflected in my business. I couldn't break past six figures because the cattiness, the arguments, the environments, all the different things. And so I said, hey, I'm not only going to build a school that teaches people the strategies to win, but I'm also going to build a school that teaches people how to be able to have great leadership, even starting within their home, because leadership starts in their home, ultimately, right? We learn from our parents. We learn from the people around us. Well, if they don't know what happens, we go into the real world, and some people there don't know either. And now we're just in this big ball of mess. And so 8-Figure Collective was really for the entrepreneurs who were like, of course I want to make 6 figures. I want to see those numbers, but I want to go past that. I want to be a person who can have impact like Jeff Bezos and then be able to turn around and be able to say, I want to end world hunger, because I've broke past 6 figures and 8 figures and, I've escalated. So ultimately the name, it has many meanings, but the root of it all is just having something that teaches you that everything internal is what's going to reflect externally. And that's how you really get to those numbers.
Very well said, Mona. The part where you mentioned that leadership begins at home is something that we should all learn, understand, and utilize it at the same time.
Yes, definitely.
Right? I also understood something that you're trying to figure out certain gaps in the industry, right? The way you mentioned the meaning of spirituality or the importance of spirituality. Is there a gap that you feel that you are filling or you will be filling up in the near future with the help of your business?
Oh, definitely. The reason why that is so pivotal is because a lot of people don't have self-awareness. And when we aren't aware of ourselves, we typically aren't aware of everyone else around us. And then what happens is we miss out on emotional intelligence. And when you don't have emotional intelligence, it's really hard for you to be a great leader, because what happens is you don't lead from a place of confidence. You lead from a place of arrogance, of thinking everyone has to listen to me just because of the name. And what I've learned is if you want to cultivate an environment and a team that thrives, you need a leader that works with the team. See, in all of my companies and all of my businesses, everything that I do the work with my team. If I say, hey, we have a sales quota, although I'm not necessarily in the sales department anymore, I have to be on the forefront, they'll still see me contribute to sales. Why? Because when you do things with people, you're also teaching them. And that reverts back to what I said, the leadership in the home. If our parents tell us to do something and live a certain way and they don't follow it, what do we learn from them? That we don't have to follow it. How can you tell me if you don't do it? And so once you start actually living your authenticity and living your spirituality and living your leadership and you're doing the things even when no one is watching, that's when you really build confidence. Because what happens is when you have confidence, you can depend on yourself. And if you know you can depend on yourself, you're going to go out there and you're going to ignite people. You're not going to be causing more fires. You're going to be igniting people and you're going to be putting out more fires, and then they're going to help you. And so ultimately, that's going to be the foundation and the gap. I just think, sometimes we just come across people, they're not self-aware. They don't know that their leadership is having a crack in it. They don't know those things because no one's either ever called them out on it or no one's actually taken the time to teach them that part of leadership. And so that's where the constructive criticism comes in, but it can be fun, it can be fruitful, it can be helpful, because it can say, hey, I once struggled with that and I can do this with you, and then here's what we're going to create, and now we figured out the solution to our problem.
Great. So now can you tell me one more thing, that let's say if there is a competitor in the market, right? So since we are talking about leadership quality, spirituality, self-improvement, self-development, so there are a lot of businesses or similar type of people who are providing the same type of courses in the market, right?
Right.
Like, what is that one thing that differentiates you from them?
I will definitely have to say is I do the work with you. You can count on knowing that I've done the work, but I continue to do it. And I think sometimes what happens is, and I've come across, investments like this too, where someone just hands me a course with like some papers and then I never see them again, and it's like, okay, I know this person's mentoring me and coaching me, but they just gave me a book, so to say, like kind of in the hints of what I was saying about my professor. They just had a book. They had, no experience behind what was going on with the book, and then it was very vague. So I really give my students that closeness enough where they can really depend on me even after they're done with their courses or after they're done with their mentorship. I just had a student the other day. She said, hey, is it okay if we chat and everything? And I said, of course, you didn't even have to ask. And she goes, well, I don't have that many friends. So I said, but you have me. You still have, I'm your mentor, but I'm still your friend, right? And so you can have healthy friendship and healthy business partnerships with people. And they don't have to overcrowd. You can still bring that. And so I feel like what we bring so different is not only do we bring real proven results, because everything that we teach it's happened already, right? We've made the mistakes for you, so you don't have to go and fall out on your butt out there, and feel like, oh my goodness, I still haven't figured it out. Like, no, we're gonna go back, we're gonna troubleshoot with you, you're gonna have conversations with us even outside of your program. We're gonna continue to see you elevate and grow. And so I feel like that's what makes us so different is, yes, we have the systems, yes, we have the answers to the test, but we really remain there with your full involvement. And that makes a huge difference in how people show up.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would 100% agree that not every business coacher out there gives us a hands-on experience after what we face actually after the implementation. So this is something that I really also admire and acknowledge at the same time, that you are doing something different in the market today, right?
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
now let's understand about your clients. Like, what type of clients are you looking for? Are they basically looking for you online, or are they offline? Are they traditional business owners, or the Gen Z crowd that is coming up with new startup companies out there? What type of clientele are you looking out?
So the clients that seek me and who I'm also wanting to attract to as well is definitely people who want more. It goes back to our name, the 8-figure collective. It can be a little intimidating. It might be a little scary, like 8 figures. Whoa, hold on. I'm still trying to figure out how to make $1,000, right? And so I'm really looking for those people and those people that are looking for me, that are saying, hey, you know what? I just want more out of life. When we say money, we don't necessarily mean that money is the most important thing. It's just that money can change your life in so many ways. Money can help you with your own family, but it also can help you help other families and other people evolve. And so I'm looking for the people who are not afraid of that, who are not looking at money as something that's evil, who are looking at money as something as a solution. It's a problem solver. And so in order for you to be a great business owner, content creator, influencer, whatever it may be, you have to solve a problem. You have to fulfill a need that people need, right? And so ultimately, I'm looking for those people and seeking those people who are like, hey, I want more, but not only just wanting more, I want to be actually connected to what I'm doing. I want to feel fulfilled in what I'm doing. We see a lot of people sometimes that make a lot of money and they're still unhappy. We see a lot of people that don't have money and they're like the happiest people ever. Like, what kind of fulfillment is that? I want that kind of energy. And ultimately, that comes down to the inner work, the self-awareness, the leadership that you're doing within yourself. And so that's who I'm looking for. I'm looking for people who want to grow and evolve with their companies and feel grounded and fulfilled with it and not disconnected from it. Because I once was a nurse and I made a ton of money, and there was a point where I was just so disconnected because I was drained. I was just like physically drained, health-wise drained, but here I was taking care of so many other people. And so what happens is you start to grow like that slow resentment, towards what you're doing when you're not connected to it. So I'm looking for the people who really want to live an authentic and fulfilled life, and also their work, and even outside of their work. So my ideal client, they just want more. They want better health. They want better finances. They want better relationships. They want better relationships with their family. And ultimately, they want to impact other people outside of just their family. They want more.
Right. Very beautifully said. Well, you just mentioned that you have worked as a nurse.
Yes, I was a nurse. Yeah, I double majored in when I closed my first business at 18, I actually went into nursing. And I will say it was a very, very rewarding career, because when you take care of people that cannot do anything for themselves, it shows you a really different type of level of love that exists. And I was a person who was really dedicated to taking care of my patients as if they were my own. If this was my mother, if this was my grandmother, how would I want them to be treated? And so ultimately, I did learn a lot of patience. I did learn a lot of emotional intelligence, how to give without getting anything back. That's another quality of great leaders. You do give a lot. You give so much. Sometimes you give everything that you have, and learning how to, balance that and be able to give back to yourself. But you will learn a lot from giving to people who cannot give you anything. You will learn a lot from that as a leader.
Right. I'm also starting to get a sense that you're going to teach a lot of things that you have already learned practically in your life in the courses that you have, right?
Yes.
Great. I'm sure that, there are a lot of viewers out there who are still stuck at the 6-figure or 7-figure journey, right? What is that one or two things that you think that they can, instantly implement and start seeing changes over the next few days?
Oh, I love that. A lot of times people have a fear of being seen sometimes. You know how they say sometimes people have a fear of success? I struggled with that for a while. I really did. Because I was a person who was really shy, very timid. I know listening to me now, you would probably think like, yeah, right. I would never think that.
I wouldn't like that.
Right. I was a person, if you ask my family and friends who, knew me much younger, I wasn't really a huge talker. And that's because there was this, I didn't really know the best things about myself. I didn't know the best qualities about myself yet. So what happened is I ultimately hit them because I didn't have the confidence. So I feel like a lot of people struggle with visibility, wanting to be seen, or even if they are being seen, but maybe they don't have the full confidence yet. And so it brings this barrier in how much they're willing to go out there and actually be able to track things to them. And so we live in a digital world now where you got to put yourself out there, right? If you want, this huge success and this huge momentum, people got to know what you have. Or who you are. I mean, there's people who can totally build businesses without being seen at all, but you still have a team you have to speak to, right? You still have visibility that's a part of that. And so I feel like when you start working on the things that you are already good at, it's going to heighten your confidence. Really focus on your strengths. That's the first thing you can do today. Don't focus on your weaknesses, because what happens when we focus on what we're weak at? Our confidence diminishes. If I go and I do a bunch of things that I know I'm not great at, now I'm going to feel like I'm not great at anything and I'm going to do simply nothing. So the best thing that you can do is write down a list of the things that you're already super great at. Maybe you're good at organizing. Maybe you're good at cooking. Maybe you're good at cleaning. Maybe you're good at doing your hair. Maybe you're good at reading or speaking to people, whatever it may be. I promise you can take those skill sets and you can put it into whatever it is you're trying to build and expand on that. What's going to happen is your confidence is going to heighten. And then you're going to be like, okay, I can go take on the freaking world. I can do anything because I've been working on my strengths. So start with that today. And another thing I would say is start with your routine in the morning. What do you do when you first wake up? I know a lot of my students struggle with having chaotic days because they wake up in chaos. They will wake up, the first thing they do is they check their phone. It's got bad news. They got a bad day. Or, for my moms out there, they wake up, they get the kids ready, they get the husband ready, they clean the house up, they do their errands, they go to work, and then guess what? Mom probably hasn't even had breakfast. She probably hasn't even had anything, a coffee or anything, and what happens is she's last. So when you wake up in the morning, really take the first moments to be grateful for something. It can be as small as I'm grateful for this cover. I'm grateful for my pillow. I'm grateful for warmth. I'm grateful for food, whatever it may be. And pour into yourself without hopping on that phone and seeing everything that's going on in the world. Really pour into yourself, because then you'll have some stamina. That also helps your confidence. So I really want people, start with those two things. What are you really great at that you can start doing more of? And how can you start filling your cup up as soon as you wake up so that can actually carry on in your day and it's not chaotic?
Right. I have noted it down and I'm surely going to try this from tomorrow itself. And I hope to see any changes over there. Right?
I'm excited for you.
So, since pandemic, right, I feel that the business model has changed a lot, right? According to you, what are the few things that has changed in a good way post-pandemic about a business?
Definitely. I will say what has changed is the inspiration. I do feel like people are now seeing more people out there, so they know like, hey, I can do more too. Sometimes I think people might have a fear of the internet and, in a lot of industries being, how do I say this? Like oversaturated, right? And so that might cause you to think like, oh, maybe I don't want to do the influencer thing because there's like a million of them already. Or maybe I don't want to build the program or course because there's so many of them. And what I've seen has changed is a lot of people are tapping the industries, but people that are on the outskirts that are wanting to invest into these things, they want real. They want depth. Surface level is like beyond people now. Like people can literally know when something is fake and when something is genuine.
Right.
And so you can actually come into the space being authentic from the door. You don't have to have it all figured out and you don't have to be perfect. You do not have to be perfect to start. But when you show people, I know for me, when I first got into influencing, I didn't have all the money. I didn't have all the cars. I didn't have the house. I didn't have all the things. I was literally just in my apartment that had no furniture and just showing people my everyday thing that I was doing. Hey, when I wake up, I don't check my phone. I'm eating healthier fruits. I'm going to the gym. I'm in this training session. I'm learning from this mentor. I just show people what I had. And I didn't have all the things yet. And so because it was so authentic, people could really resonate with me, and they could say, hey, I'm actually really seeing this girl rise on her come up. Like, I'm seeing her starting from the bottom and going up every single day. And she's sharing that with us. So I think sometimes people think they got to start with everything. But what has changed is, internet back in the day, we just seen all the glitz and glam, and we never seen any of the work behind it. And we just fell for whatever people put out. But now people are like, no, I want to know how you got from point A to point B. I need you to tell me exactly what you did, because I'm not falling for the whole you just woke up overnight and you became a multi-millionaire because you posted 2 videos. Like, no way. Like, it's not real. So when people really just focus on authenticity from the jump and just working with what they got, being grateful for that, right? People will respect you and value your work so much more because they've seen you do the work.
Got it. That's really nice and very depthful that you have mentioned about these things, right? Now, let's say if I am stuck in somewhere, I'm not able to get these things out of my operations, or maybe there's some sales techniques that my team is trying to crack it down, and we are not able to crack that, right? We are in a stuck state over there. And many of us fail to get out of that stuck state. We get frustrated. So what is your go-to mantra to, at least get our mind out of it, or that will help our car to roll down that stuck state?
I love that. The first thing is chant this little affirmation. Everything's working out for me better than I planned. I know sometimes like the roof is falling and you're like, I'm about to crash and burn. How the heck is this really possibly working out for me? Truthfully, it is, because problems occurring in your business is just teaching you that there is a loophole, there is an opening, there is something that is not aligned. And so now we need to figure out what's not aligned. Is it the employees? Is it the leadership? Is it the management? Is it the product? Is it the service? The training, the marketing, what is it? It's going to show you. So I always tell people, try something at least for 30 to 90 days to actually know if it's working. I recently had a client who was like, my marketing's not working, and, wanted to give up, wanted to quit. And I said, well, how long were you doing the marketing? He goes like, I did it for a week. I said, yeah, no. I said, there's your problem right there. You didn't do it long enough. You didn't reach enough people to know if you should take this item off your menu or take this product out, because you have not truly given it the time to reach who it needs to reach. So ultimately, what you want to be doing when you're feeling stuck is you want to troubleshoot. You need to figure out what is the root cause of the problem. And so the way that you troubleshoot is you go look at your analytics before. What did you do when you had really, really high numbers and there was momentum and everyone was aligned? Go backtrack, go look at your work, because it's going to tell you what worked. And then when things started to drop and you're seeing everything falling down, you pay attention to that too. That's showing you where the problem is. It's like a leak, right? If you have a leak and you find out where the hole is, then you can go patch it up or whatever you need to do to replace it. So ultimately, if you are doing the analyzation and in the beginning of your company, you're doing all the work. Let's be for real. Like, you don't have the money yet to hire employees. We totally get it. So this stuff is
sometimes just keeping in our office.
Yeah, like it's not that fun, but not having the money and the resources you need is not fun either. So start with the hard thing first, analyze, figure out where the loophole is, and then you can go in and you can retract and troubleshoot. You can start filling in, the problem with the solution. And that's how you ultimately get unstuck.
Got it.
That's, you can't be like, I wish. Like, no, you got to do some work, right? If you send up a prayer, you got to also be on the other end showing that
you're looking for that prayer, right? Exactly. Great. For all the audience out there. So in this few minutes, I've given you a great sneak peek about what Mona has in her future classes as well, right? And I wanted to understand one more thing, that let's say if I ask you to describe 8-Figure Collective in just 3 words, what would you choose?
Oh, I love this one. Bold, proven, and transformational. You are going to be so much bolder than you ever thought. You're going to be a completely different person. Everything that we teach is proven. Everything that we're showing you it's already happened. Okay, so you can avoid the mistakes and the pitfalls. And then transformational. Ultimately, not only are you going to transform, but your team is going to transform, your clients are going to transform. And the more lives that you're helping to change in a positive way, ultimately, that's the more money that you're going to make, the more people that you serve.
Great, great. That is an amazing choice of words that you have right now. And, as of now, we can see that on your website, there are certain courses listed already, right? So
Yes.
are you planning for any kind of new courses, any partnerships you're coming up, or any events that you're coming up? Do you have live shows on Zoom's webinar anywhere?
Yes, so I actually do live teachings every single week. So we do 2 live teachings every week. I do bring on other leaders and mentors from other spaces who are literally just doing amazing in what they do. So you're always advancing. And then the courses are always updated. Things change. Sometimes things change overnight in the media space and business. And so we're constantly updating our students. We're constantly giving them all of the new things that are happening because, like I said, we want you to keep evolving. We don't just say, here's a course, and then we never check in with you again later on. New things are happening. And so we have community. We have a space where you can chat with other people that are entrepreneurs that are also learning from us. And then also what we're doing with the program is we're helping a lot of corporations. We're helping a lot of companies. So from small business owners, to having 1 employee to people who have 500 employees and more, we're helping on a larger scale, and we travel. We go to different places. We just opened our headquarters office. I'm actually in it right now. It's down in downtown Milwaukee. So we do in-person sessions. We have a whole classroom here. We do traveling. We do a lot of work out in Hawaii. We go to California. We go to Texas. So there's so many ways that you can come in person and learn and grow, or whether you want to do it virtually, we have so many options for people.
Amazing, amazing. So I'm going to list down everything down in the link below, and you can check that out. Also, Mona was very kind enough to drop down a ebook for you. It is completely free. You can click on the link and download it for yourself and get your transformation started as soon as possible. And Mona, it was lovely connecting with you, and today you have taught me a lot of new things. I have filled up my notepad, and I'm going to start implementing it from tomorrow itself.
That is so awesome.
Great. So before we close this down, do you have anything else that you want to share with our audience? Any point of view that they want to know before they are signing up for your courses? Because I'm sure after this podcast, you are going to receive a lot of enrollments soon.
Thank you. The first thing is I just want to commend you for even listening. If you stay to the end and you listen to this, that means that you are ready for transformation. You're ready to have more in your life. And that ultimately alone just says a lot about your leadership for self. And so, of course, I'm looking forward to welcome you in the course. If you come along, you know that I'm going to be here. And just take action, take that free book. That free book is so valuable. It's thousands of dollars of education that you have now for free. And you can go and create with that right away. So start with what you have. And just remember that you are the person who's going to change your life. It's no one else is going to be able to change it but you. You hold that power at all times.
Right. Amazing.
Hi guys, so I just actually want to give a shout out to TSM for their really valuable work that they did here with the podcast interview and the connections that they've been doing for my business. I'm super grateful, because the intentions from the start were to help and foster growth, not just for myself, but for everyone out there who was listening, the audience. So I really loved how professional you guys were, and the punctuality was amazing. A lot of times some people say they're going to be somewhere at some time or do something, and you're kind of waiting. But I love that you guys were so punctual, so on time, and you really give entrepreneurs the outlet to be able to help and foster and nurture in other spaces, reaching other markets. That's incredible. So So I love everything that you guys are doing. Your leadership is amazing. It's on fire. Everyone that I've spoken to has known about their company, their work, what they're doing. They know the purpose and mission. And so that really made me feel safe, as a business owner and comfortable in the setting of being able to do the podcast. So thank you guys so much. You guys are incredible.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mona, for your kind words. And
Welcome.
let's hope we get you some bookings out there.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.